This is WCPO 9 News.
Thanks for joining us for WCPO 9 News. I'm Adrian Whitsett, and here's a look at some of today's top stories. Starting today, anyone 16 and older can get vaccinated in Ohio. Also today, Kentuckians age 40 and up are eligible to get the doses. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says he also plans to extend the state's mask mandate. Indiana will expand vaccinations to anyone 16 and up starting Wednesday, and the Hoosier State's mask mandate ends on April 6th. Also happening today, the blighted Millennium Hotel connected to the Duke Energy Convention Center is scheduled to begin coming down. Cranes and heavy equipment moving in to tear down the two towers, that annex building, and the skywalk that connects to the convention center. The skywalk will be the first to go. Demolition and asbestos abatement are already underway inside. The whole process is expected to take 15 months into next summer. Elm Street will be closed during this. Holy Cross Immaculata Parish in Mount Adams bringing back the traditional praying the steps. Those who would like to participate, especially if you're at higher risk for catching coronavirus, you're asked to consider visiting earlier than Good Friday when fewer people are likely to be there. The church will be open for prayer today through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Guidelines for social distancing are in place and masks will be required. Jen.
Well, today we're going to get at least a little bit more enjoyable forecast. The breezy conditions and the dropping temperatures on Sunday were less than enjoyable. Today we get sunshine, a light wind, and a more seasonal high of around 57 degrees there in the afternoon hours. But it is cool enough this morning that a coat, yeah, you might want to grab one as you head out. Tomorrow's high will bump back to 70, so a rapid warm up thanks to a strong south wind tomorrow. This is all in advance of our next weather maker, which will be a rain system coming in for Wednesday morning and up through about midday. But behind this, it is going to cool down a lot, leaving us with highs only near the 40-degree mark just in time for opening day.
Obviously, I mean, the Reds had an opening day last year without fans, and it was, 3 months after the regular start of the season.
Last spring was rough for many local bar and restaurant owners, but doubly so for people like Billy Watson. Watson operates Kitty Sports Grill on 3rd Street. He said with Reds opening day being delayed for 3 months and Kitty's allowed to sell only carry-out food in April 2020, his bar took a big financial hit.
The year before, we did more revenue on Reds opening day than we did the whole month of April last year. And we were literally open every day for April. Opening day usually is our best day of the year.
With baseball season opening on time this year and COVID-19 restrictions easing, Watson said he hopes to do better financially this opening day. Neither Watson nor Danny Scott, who operates Fishbowl at the Banks, expect to return to the opening day crowds of previous years, though.
It's baby steps. Last year was very limited. This year's going to still be limited, but we're taking steps in the right direction, I think.
The Reds are allowing a smaller number of fans inside Great American Ballpark for their season opener against the St. Louis Cardinals. And the city of Cincinnati opened its Dora, a designated outdoor refreshment area at the Banks last week.
With Dora, we're going to be able to fit some more people down here. We're going to be able to take care of some more people, and we're going to be able to spread out and be safe.
While Kitty's operates outside of the Banks' open container district, Watson said he hopes the smell of the grill's chicken wings lures people over to his bar.
It's like a Cincinnati holiday, so hopefully, people will be excited about the start of the season, and we'll have people here to watch the games. We got 12 TVs.
Scott said he wants people to remain aware of safety protocols in order to end the pandemic soon.
We still need to keep that in mind. I don't want to discourage people from coming down, but I don't want to say, hey, let's pack it in.
To learn more about opening day at the Banks, visit WCPO.com. I'm Brian Maines, WCPO 9 News.
Many of us don't want to handle cash this spring because of concerns about COVID-19. So debit cards are more popular than ever. But one Northern Kentucky woman learned some risks of using a debit card for online shopping. Patricia Babin found a great deal on Amazon, grabbing a 55-inch HD TV for just $283. But it appeared that either Amazon or her bank grabbed her money twice.
It looked like at first a double charge.
It turned out to be a pre-authorization hold for the TV's cost, which left her card down over $600.
So I expected the pre-authorization to drop off. Yeah. Well, it didn't.
So she called and learned that authorizations on debit cards can take several days to be returned.
I think that's wrong.
This is a common problem for people who use debit cards, and it's not just limited to Amazon. It happens at other retailers and especially at gas stations. Business Insider suggests you don't use debit at gas stations because of skimming scams and because stations put a hold on the card. At hotels, because the desk may pre-authorize $400 on your card. On a rental car, where the rental firm may hold hundreds of dollars until you return the car.
If that had been out of your checking account, that could have really hurt you.
It could have messed up my house payment. It could have messed my utilities payment.
One last reason not to use a debit card for online shopping. If there's any fraud, you have to fight to get your money back. So always don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese for Good Morning Tri-State.
Opening arguments begin today in the trial of the former Minneapolis police officer charged with the death of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin has pleaded not guilty to charges of manslaughter, second-degree murder, and third-degree murder. 14 jurors will hear the case. The death of Floyd last year sparked protests around the world when a video was released showing Chauvin placing his knee on the back of Floyd's neck for several minutes before he died.
Say his name! George Floyd! Black Lives Matter!
National Guard soldiers will be on hand for security during the trial. The courthouse is also surrounded with fencing and razor wire. Authorities are urging demonstrators to remain peaceful. Testimony is expected to take up to a month. Workers have successfully set free a massive container ship that was stuck sideways across the Suez Canal for nearly a week. Ships from around the world carrying vital fuel and cargo have been blocked from entering the canal for days. There were concerns on the impact the blockage would have on the global supply chain. This week, President Joe Biden will unveil the first part of his infrastructure plan. A White House spokesperson said the president plans to separate his plan into two parts after considering one massive proposal. His first plan will focus on rebuilding roads and railways. The second part will be announced in a couple of weeks and will focus on, quote, social infrastructure, such as childcare and healthcare reforms. A White House spokesperson hinted that President Biden's proposal could come with tax increases.
As the Biden administration races past its vaccination benchmarks, questions mount over if and how to use extra jabs as a form of diplomacy around the world.
We will obviously in the future have surplus vaccine, and there certainly is a consideration for making that vaccine available to countries that need it.
The U.S. has contracted millions more coronavirus vaccine doses than there are Americans. So far, the U.S. has agreed to share just 4 million vaccine doses with Canada and Mexico. And some experts say it will soon be time for the U.S. to step up its vaccine diplomacy.
Just on basic humanitarian grounds and as a trade-off in terms of foreign policy objectives, we can and should use these vaccines to accomplish those goals.
The agreement to loan vaccine doses to Mexico comes as the U.S. is seeking help to deal with a surge of migrants at the southern border. Both the U.S. and Mexico have denied that the vaccines were shared with any strings attached. Mexican officials told Newsy the deal was not made on a quid pro quo basis, saying the negotiations began almost 2 months ago during the first conversations between Presidents López Obrador and Joe Biden. Meanwhile, some of America's top global competitors like Russia and China have been much more generous in shipping doses outside their borders. The Biden administration has said it wants to be a part of the global solution to the pandemic, but the White House doesn't want to make decisions about excess vaccine supply too soon.
There are obviously a number of factors, including the fact that these variants are unpredictable. We're still at war with the virus. We don't know which one is going to work best with children.
Though millions of Americans have yet to get the shot, the U.S. has contracted 300 million doses of AstraZeneca's vaccine. That has yet to get U.S. approval, making it the most likely choice to ship out to countries that have okayed the shot.
What the Biden administration is doing is a very good first step, but that's all it is. We're going to have so many excess doses of these coronavirus vaccines, and we should be doing more to get them out to countries that need them.
Kellen Howell, Washington.
Progressives on Capitol Hill are one step closer to getting rid of some federal abortion restrictions. Democratic members of the House and Senate introduced the EACH Act Thursday, a bill aimed at permanently doing away with the restrictions from the Hyde Amendment, a 1976 provision that keeps federal funds from providing abortions in most cases.
1 in 4 women who are low income seeking an abortion are forced to carry to term.
The rule applies to Medicaid recipients, the majority minorities.
Whatever you think about the procedure, we should all agree that what's legal for a wealthy American should not be so inaccessible for Americans of color and low-income Americans.
Hyde is a rider. It doesn't have to be a part of appropriations bills, but Congress has attached it for 40 years. Opponents could get rid of it by making sure it's not added to bills, or they could pass legislation that makes sure that government insurance covers abortions no matter what. Advocates got a temporary victory. The latest COVID relief package didn't include Hyde provisions. They praise the move, but want to see permanent action and guaranteed abortion coverage.
That was just one piece of legislation, and it really won't have a huge impact on people who are seeking an abortion and struggling to make ends meet.
The president supports the efforts, but Congress could be an uphill task for progressives. Polling on the issue depends on the question at hand. A 2021 Ipsos poll shows 58% who say health insurance should cover abortion, whether it's public or private. However, a 2021 Marist poll shows only 38% support taxpayer-funded abortions.
The Hyde Amendment is a sort of cornerstone common sense pro-life protection, and we will be fighting to make sure it's included in the next bill.
While this is likely to pass the House, it will need support of at least 10 Republicans and all Democrats in the Senate. Amber Strong, Northern Virginia.
The first COVID treatment trial in the world to include pregnant women was just launched. Now researchers need patients to enroll. They're studying a long-approved diabetes medicine which they believe will be effective in keeping people out of the hospital and dying from COVID-19.
We need 570 people.
It's a specific number, and statisticians have carefully mapped out the percentages as to why that number works. 570 people need to enroll within 3 days of receiving a positive COVID test. Participants will either get a placebo or a diabetes drug called metformin.
Those analyses did find that people who had been on metformin before they got COVID-19 were less likely to be hospitalized or die than similar people who were not on metformin.
If you're wondering how a diabetes drug relates to a respiratory virus like COVID, you're not alone. Dr. Carolyn Bramante is an assistant professor of internal medicine and pediatrics at the University of Minnesota Medical School. She's also the lead investigator of the study.
It's very confusing too. We have had people ask, well, if metformin might reduce severity, why is diabetes, such a big risk for poor outcomes from COVID, which is a great question. So, diabetes is in a state of chronic inflammation, type 2 diabetes, and high blood sugar. Both of those things, we think, appear to make the severity of COVID-19 disease worse.
She says metformin has also been effective in treating Zika and hepatitis C. It's even been used to enhance fertility. The drug has been FDA approved for decades. Kids have taken it, as have pregnant women.
It's clearly easier to study something that has already been used in pregnant people because you have, data to fall back on in discussing in general the risks of using that medication in pregnancy.
Dr. Sarah Cross is a high-risk obstetrician and assistant professor at the University of Minnesota Medical School. Pregnant women are generally excluded from drug trials, COVID or otherwise. Dr. Cross says that can be risky.
Because then you don't really know how something works in pregnancy. So if you don't have any data, then every time you talk to somebody, you say, well, you have this medical condition, you have high blood pressure, and I'd like to give you this medication, but it's never been studied in pregnancy, so I don't really know.
Researchers hope people, including those who are pregnant, will enroll in this trial. Even with the vaccine coming out, Dr. Bramante says metformin is an available and inexpensive treatment that could improve survivability, but they need the study and those 570 people to prove it. It's a simple sign-up, and doctors say a safe drug.
This would be people who were recently diagnosed with SARS-CoV-2. They don't have to have symptoms, but they have to have had a positive test within 3 days.
If you're interested, head over to covidout.com. I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
Working from home has changed the lives of millions of Americans and American pets. Turns out humans aren't the only ones who've spent the last year packing on the pounds.
My name is Brad Wigginton, and my dog's name is Oliver.
Oliver is a 5-year-old Beagle Cocker Spaniel mix. With the pandemic keeping people inside, Brad says Oliver started packing on the pounds.
The vet said, he looks like he's about 10 pounds overweight. We need to slim him down a little bit.
Dogs in particular, cats not so much, but dogs are pretty good at getting you to feed them.
Even for our pets, extra weight has real health consequences. Veterinarian Glennis Graham says she has noticed the weight gain among both dogs and cats. Those pounds come with serious health issues, including diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease, cancer, and arthritis.
Just like humans, if dogs are carrying extra weight, it's hard on their joints, and particularly if you have a breed of dog that's prone to joint issues.
Extra weight can also make respiratory problems worse for short-nosed dogs. A 2019 study shows overweight dogs have a lifespan up to 2.5 years shorter than dogs with a healthy body weight. Dr. Graham says don't overestimate the value of walks. She says the single best thing that you can do for your dog is take it for a regular walk 10 to 15 minutes a day.
Hello, everyone. I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Sherry Hughes. We had some chilly temperatures today. We started in the 60s after midnight, but temperatures fell into the 40s during the afternoon, and the winds have been gusting into the 30s. I think the highest gust I saw was about 37 miles an hour. Well, the good news, the winds are going to decrease as we go into the overnight, and certainly as we go into tomorrow or Monday, we'll get the winds out of the west and also mainly a little bit of a southerly flow by Tuesday, but winds will die down to about 5 to 10 mile an hour for your Monday into Tuesday. Tuesday, though, it's going to go back up again. Here's the way it looks for this evening. We've had the clouds as well. Clouds will disperse. We will gradually see mostly clear skies in the overnight hour. By about 2, we're at 34. I think we'll bottom out around 31 degrees. Then as you get up in the morning, we see those temperatures go back from 30s to 40s at noon, and then 50s, which are seasonal temperatures during the afternoon. And notice every day part has sunshine and lighter winds out there. So it's a pretty good start to the week. But we're going to have a good bit of temperature swings as we go through the week. Look at Tuesday, 68 degrees. Wednesday, our next chance of rain, and temperatures down to the 40s. Behind that cold front, opening day for the Reds will be a chilly one, and we'll have breezy conditions, which means that 40-degree temperature will likely feel like the 30s. But we have mostly a dry week with the exception of Wednesday's rain.
Millions of Americans have found themselves unemployed during this pandemic. Many have been able to find jobs, but there are plenty of other people who have spent months trying to find work. In cities and towns from coast to coast, there are countless Americans still looking for work.
It's very humbling. I've had to turn to resources that I'd never turned to before.
Leslie Schwimmer is among the millions who lost her job at the start of the pandemic.
I tried to downsize and reduce my expenses as much as I can.
Leslie owned a spa in Ventura, Florida. When the pandemic hit, though, she was forced to close. She was eventually able to reopen, but by then the damage had been done.
Gut-wrenching, beyond gut-wrenching. I put my life into it. Sold my house, gave, all of my everything I put into that, and it would I never thought it was an option not to succeed.
This single mother of 3 suddenly found herself looking for work. That was back in September. 7 months later, this 57-year-old still can't find a job.
Do you think your age is the biggest thing that's keeping you from getting a job right now?
I think so. I think that, I tried when I went to different resources to mask my age as much as I can.
Nationwide, the unemployment rate is sitting around 6.2%. The number of long-term unemployed, or people who have been jobless for at least 27 weeks, is right around 4.1 million. Half of those people, though, about 2 million, are over the age of 55.
I do think that age is a huge factor.
Nearly a year into Leslie's job search, answering that question, how are you doing, isn't easy.
Frustrating, tiring,
humiliating. I hate that one, but it's hard on your self-confidence. I find it very hard.
But from LinkedIn to old-fashioned networking, Leslie is determined to find work and find her way out of those unemployment statistics.
I've gotten past 2-3 interviews now, and they've shown some real interest, but no job offer as of yet.
In South Florida, I'm Chris Conti.
It's a mini grocery store and food truck combined in one.
A food bank in South Florida is rolling out a new program to get healthy food into communities that need it most. They created this grocery store on wheels. The truck includes fresh vegetables, a refrigerated section, and meat products. It will visit low-income communities that lack access to fresh food.
People should have access to food, affordable food, even if they're on food stamps.
22 tons of donated food was given out in the last year.
A pop-up food pantry in Detroit is going strong while people still need help during the pandemic. It started as a temporary resource that's turned into a nonprofit helping thousands of families. Last year, they provided 11,000 neighbors with food and essentials. They also keep several mini pantries stocked throughout the neighborhoods.
We want to make sure that people don't have to make the choice between paying rent and feeding themselves and their families.
You've heard of little free libraries. Now one Denver nonprofit took the concept and applied it to people looking for something to eat. They created a community fridge that's hosted by the community and maintained for the community.
If you need stuff, you just go and pick out whatever you like and take it home with you. It's really that simple.